Hello everyone, good morning, I hope you're all well. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to our next Thrinchie. We're on Thrinchie number 10 and I'm loving these, absolutely love the way they all look together and the way they're turning out. Now this is the Thrinchie that we did before, number 9, and I want to show you how you can change that and maybe sort of add more depth. So I'm going to show you what we've done. So first of all, I've got my Thrinchie, which is a 3-inch square piece of pink frog super smooth card, and I've drawn a circle on here from my circular templates. It's about 2 3/4 because you can see it takes up most of the area on the Thrinchie. Doesn't matter which way you have it, but I think I'll have it that way. But I've just drawn the circle on there just in pencil. And what I'm going to do is I've moved this out of the way so you can actually see I've got that much on my desk. So I'm going to place the circle back over, which is easier said than done because I've drawn around it. There we go. So what I'm going to do then, we're going to use the colours that we used before that I've left on my desk. Trying to leave the Thrinchie out is not a good idea. Leave that over there. So I'm going to use fossilised amber. I just love this colour. And you can hold this down with low tack tape if you wish, but I just adore this colour. So I'm going to add a little bit of the colour. Now you can see that I can add it very lightly like I've done here, or I can add a lot more depth. So let's just add a lot more colour to that blending brush, and I'm just holding it further down onto the blending brush, my fingers, just so that I can get a little bit more of a blend. And the only reason it's moving is because you've got that Thrinchie underneath and it's smaller. What I would recommend is that you hold your Thrinchie down itself with some low tack tape, just to stop that from moving. So what I mean is, you can see there, I'm struggling to sort of keep it still. So just take a piece of low tack tape in a circular manner and then you can hold that down. So now we go back again. So I like to show you why I do things and why things don't work. So you could see that was moving. Now it's not moving. I'm blending the colour and then it's not moving. So that's wonderful because we've got that stickiness on there. So what I'm going to do then, come on Tracy, is place it back over again. I drew around this piece of paper here that I'd cut out because I've got then an aperture. So I'm then going to take some of the Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink, and I've got plenty on there. And I'm just going to blend a little bit of the grey just around the circle. Let's take a little bit more, just so that this gives a little bit of shading. And what I want to show is that we're going to get a little bit more depth on this than our previous one. So let me just turn this round. So first of all, I'm going to spritz with water, just so that it starts bleeding, because I do love a little bit of a bleed when it bleeds out. So obviously this will dilute the colour if I blot it, but I'm not going to blot it. She says the heat tool's not on. So you saw in my previous snippet, I blotted the colour. Now, if you let this dry naturally, you're going to get more intensity of colour. But I'm going to dry this as is, but I'm not going to blot. So I'm not blotting, so it'll keep that oxidisation. And when I blot some of the colour away from the card. So I'm not going to do that this time because it will keep the darkness of that colour. Whereas on the previous snippet, I blotted it. So this is why I like to show you different ways how you get different results. And each time it can look slightly different. So you can change things just slightly and it makes a difference. Let's pick that up and just... Now this will make the low tack tape less sticky. Heating that. Let's just... If you ever want to remove any low tack tape as well, if you heat it, it will just come away really easily. So what you can see now is I've kept that intensity of colour because I've not blotted it. So that's perfect. So it's just lovely. Let me just bend that Thrinchie a little bit just to remind it which direction I would like that to go in. There we go. And then I'm going to take the same stamp, which was TE16, which is Artsy Alphas and Florals. So we're going to use that one, TE16. Let's bring this in. And then let me just use this scrap of card. I'm going to use my VersaFine Clair Morning Mist. So I'm going to ink the VersaFine Clair Morning Mist. And I'm just going to ink sort of the majority of the stamp anyway. It's just easier. And then like I did in the previous video, let's grab a little bit of kitchen roll. And I'm just going to dab, but coming in a little bit further into the stamp. Can you see? So just coming in a little bit further into that stamp and diffusing it in a few areas. Now what I've done is I've cut the same circle from a piece of copier paper to create my mask. Now, the only thing you'll find with the Thrinchies is you have to faff a little bit more just to get that, what's this called? Spit it out. The mask over your circular area, because my Thrinchie is almost the size, don't know which way, is that better? It's almost the size of the Thrinchie. Let's bring that in a little bit. There you go. And I'm just going to, I was going to just so it didn't move, but there you go. So yes, there's a little bit more faffing, or there is from Tracy anyway. Just because I want that mask just in place here. And then I'm going to take this ink and then I'm going to add this to my circle. Now I've got that aperture down, so I'm just going to have it in the circular area. So just now I've got even more oxide ink on there because I didn't blot that. I know with the other one I blotted it and then I added some colour back in, but this way it's a little bit more, the colour is a little bit stronger. That is lovely. So let's just remove this. So now I've got the text within the circle. Just lovely. Now in our previous Thrinchie, let's just, there's nowhere to move anything. In my previous Thrinchie, on the floral, we used some of the pencils, which I've got here, the same colours. So PC 1054, 942 and 915. So the grey, the ochre and then the yellow. So just like we'd done before, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit, because I drew around this circle here with a micron pen. But I haven't done that with this one. I drew around with pencil. So what I'm going to do is just come around with the grey Prismacolor pencil and just add a little bit of the Prismacolor pencil just around the edge here. But I'm not pressing on too hard. I'm just going to press on quite lightly and not press on too hard on that circle. So just take your time, don't press too hard. And it's not, I'm not sort of looking for this blend here. I'm just looking for a little bit more definition to my circle. So I'm just adding some of the grey just where the oxide was, just to give me a little bit more definition just to that. So I'm just adding the grey to this. Now, when we coloured the floral for this one, I've already pre-coloured the floral because you don't need to see me to colour that again. I've pre-coloured the floral, but what I want to show you is here, I can't remember, I think it was 2 layers I added, but because I didn't press on too hard, there's always ways you can add a little bit more depth. So I've added a little bit more grey to that and a little bit more depth to the middle as well. So there's always ways you can change it up a little bit so that it looks slightly different. So I've added a little bit more grey there, and then I just need to come in with a little bit more of the yellow, and I can just now add the sort of the final layer of the yellow. So I've added a little bit more grey to this one, just to make it a little bit darker. And then what I'm going to do, what I didn't on the other one, is I'm going to add, let me just get that working. I'm going to add the touch of white going down the floral, and I've added the white Posca pen just to the centre, as I did with the previous one, but it's a little bit darker. So I can then add my floral just here to the project. So let's just take, again, I'm not adding too much dimension because at the end of the day I'm putting it in my book. So let's add this here, and again I'm leaving those leaves up just so that that's got a little bit of dimension in its own right without even adding any sort of 3D, the pin flare. And then I'm going to add, let's take the TE32, which is where the floral is from, and I'm going to use the little tag that's on here. So let's take the little tag. And I'm going to stamp the tag in black. Take that little tag. So it's subtle changes just to make it look a little bit different. Let's take our tag. Just to sort of give that a little bit of a subtle change. Obviously I need to add colour to that, but I'm also, from TE32, I'm also going to take F for floral and add that to my tag, again with the black ink. And you don't really need to press very hard with the letters. Literally just touch that. There we go. And then I'm going to add a little bit of colour just to my tag. Just bringing a little bit of colour to that. So with the grey, then the ochre, just with the pencils. And again, with the first layer, there's not much depth or definition. That's absolutely fine, because you need to add it in lightly. Now, when I'm not colouring, as in for a video, I definitely probably take even longer with my colouring. I really sort of embrace the process and I go in super lightly and I just take my time. So I'm just coming in and blending the colours into each other. Now, because I've got that really dark grey and I'm trying to blend with a much lighter colour, it can take a few more layers. And personally, it's better to colour first, then cut out, because you're not trying to hold that little piece of card like I'm doing, which is madness really. So then I'm going to come in with the grey again, just to add a little bit more darkness, a little bit more depth, just to add a little bit more. Then I'm going to go to the ochre, and again just lightly add a little bit more to the tags. And even though it's just the Thrinchies, I do like taking my time, because I want to look back at the book and sort of be proud of the results. So I'm going to then come in to the yellow, go into the other two colours as well. And because I've not pressed too hard, I must admit my desk is in such a mess. I can come in with a little bit of the white and just blend out, soften the edges of my yellowy colour. Just soften that a bit, just with the white. And I would probably spend even longer doing that. So I'm then going to add the little F for floral. Hopefully, there we go, it's still here. I don't want to add it. You see, I can't add too much dimension, but I'm going to add it there, just coming off the leaf. And then I'm just going to take my micron pen and just pretend there's a little bit of a twirl of the tag just coming onto the leaf. And then I've punched out 2 circles from white card, again pink frog, super smooth, and I'm going to just take my morning mist now. What am I doing? You could now press the circles onto the background if you want, but I'm just going to keep these circles apart and just stamp different. Would help if you got the stamp not upside down. Just stamp different areas on those circles and not even look what I've got. Perfect. just quickly wipe that off my non-stick craft sheet so we don't leave that oily ink on there. So then I've just randomly got the backgrounds on there. So it's quite easy. And then I'm just going to take the colours again and just add a little bit of colour to these. But I don't want to add too much colour, and I want it to be a little bit paler because you've got this darker colour on here and you don't want it to get lost within the background. So I'm just going to add a little bit of the grey, a little bit of that ochre. Now I'm going in very lightly. I'm not pressing too hard, just with that ochre colour. Then come in with a little bit of the yellow. And again, I'm just pressing lightly. And before I sort of finish any, I just want to see where I'm going to add. Yes, I'm going to add these here. Like so. There we go. So we're just changing it a little bit because we've got that bigger circle, so it's a different feel. So I'm just coming in again with the grey onto that white card and just adding a little bit more depth. And I'm filling in the white areas of the card. And as you sort of fill in the white areas of the card, your colouring then becomes smoother. But I'm not pressing on too much at all. I don't think I did the grey on this, which is really, really good. No, I didn't, I can tell. So just come in with that grey. And just blending in with the ochre. And then a little bit with the yellow. These are so lovely to look back on. They really are. Really enjoy sort of looking back. And again, can you see where my fingers are on my pencil? It stops me from pressing too hard, too soon. Because if I press too hard, too soon, it'll then become shiny. And then I've got nowhere to go. So it's great cutting out these little circles, because then they become your embellishments. And it works really nicely. And to be honest, I love these colours so much, I could do about 10 snippets. So I'm coming back, I will be coming back to these colours because they're just wonderful. Or maybe a slight variation on it, who knows. So coming into all the colours with that yellow. And again, I can add another layer. And as I build with those layers, I'm smoothing out the card and the open areas just beautifully. And obviously because you're, you may not be demoing, you can take your time with your colouring. There's no rush. So coming in again, just with more layers of that ochre. and I'll make this my last layer. But I could actually go in with another layer because I've not pressed too hard at all, and I could quite easily layer more of that colour. And then I can use the white just to blend out the edges. Now just remember, when you're using your Prismacolors, say you've used black and you've not used grey, you need to make sure that that ink is dry, because the Prismacolor, the waxiness of that pencil, it will pick up this damn adhesive. It'll pick up the wax, and it'll pick up, the wax will pick up some of the black. So just be aware that you need to make sure that whatever ink you're using, make sure that that is completely dry. So just place that. I'm just placing this here so the leaf sort of goes over that. Let's bring this down here, like so. There you go. I adore this Thrinchie. So then I'm going to take my Inktense pencil and we're going to add some shading. We want some shading down that stem, just so that our floral is a little bit more prominent. We need some shading around the circle here and around the circle here. So what I'm doing now is I'm just spending a little bit of time just adding some of those areas with Inktense pencil. So let's take this and then we'll just add a little bit of shading. Now you are going to affect naturally the oxide ink, so I'm just using a little bit of water. Let's just add a little bit of shading. Oh, it squeaked then. A little bit of shading down the floral, just to give that a little bit more depth. I think I want a little bit round here. That's better. Just so that that pops a little bit more. And then it's up to you if you just want to finish there. Now I'm going to take a little pheasant and drop it. It's already that well used that it's full. It is that one. Now I'm going to see if I can stamp it over the top. If not, I'll just cut it out. It's called Just Experiment. That's what it's called. So I'm going to take the pheasant. Sorry, I thought my heat tool was going to fall then. So just make sure you've got plenty of ink on there. I'm going to press this onto my circle. Now, you well know that I've got waxy pencils on there. It's a good job I didn't drop that black directly onto the Thrinchie too much, so that the black rim around the ink pad didn't fall on there. Now you know that I've done waxy pencils on there. I've done actually it's just the waxy pencil, isn't it, that's on there. So I am pushing my look a bit, but it's absolutely fine. But I was pushing it a little bit because you've got that waxy pencil on there, but it works. Yes, I can see a little bit through that, but that doesn't bother me. So let's grab a little piece of copier paper now, because that's just shining and sitting on there, because of course it is. I've got that waxy pencil on there, so you'll see that the ink will lift. So let's just give that a little bit of a dry, just so that it goes back to matte. There you go. And then just blot one more time. Perfect, it's dry. Ha, just wonderful. Oh, I do love stamping. So then I'm going to take a little bit of shading just down here. Hopefully I've got enough moisture just on there. There we go. And I'm just going to add. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can cut out. If you're a bit too worried about doing that, you can just cut it out. I'm not going to do, there we go. Honestly, I could faff forever, even on a Thrinchie. Even on a Thrinchie, I could faff. Let's add a little bit of white here. But it's my favourite part. Just adding the little finishing touches. Now we're going to add some splatters. If you use your smaller Posca pen, you're going to get smaller splatters. So I'm going to use a bigger Posca pen. This is 5M. That is 1M. Oh, it's to do with the nibs. So I'm just going to add a few splatters. And I just want to sort of keep some of the splatters away from the pheasant. Now, you know what we haven't done, and what should I have done? Come on, folks, what should I have done? I should have added the black first before I stuck my floral down. I was getting too carried away, but I should have added the black edge, the faux black mat, before I added the floral. Hey-ho, it is what it is. So let's get as far as we can get. Or can I bend my floral? So I'm going to add my faux black mat and bend my floral back. Poor floral. But really, I should have done that first. That's it. Because I do like the faux black mat, because it just finishes everything off nicely. And if you're worried about smudging your black, just give it a little dry. Yay, now that's the Thrinchie finished. Just let me show you that. I absolutely love that. So let's place this down onto here. Who knew you could take so long with a little Thrinchie? Because I still want them to be quality pieces of art. So let's add this to our little book. And it's when it goes in the little book. I love it in the little book, I know. Small things and all that. Stand up so you can see what you're doing. I'm just spending a bit of time. Now you've changed it by adding more depth, slightly adding more layers, and it is slightly different. But that's how you can change things up, taking an idea and moving it a little bit further. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope you'll give that a go. Love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.